What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and this is our live session. Welcome, anyone who's joining us now. Hope you had a great weekend. Ready for this new week ahead. Anyone that's joining us on the replay today, hey, I feel like you're with us, and I'm glad you're here. Welcome. All right. First, I want to make sure we have the sound. All right. Let's be right, Heath. Good morning. Indices are down enormous pre-market, 1.5%. Interestingly enough, the Chinese markets are now closed through February the 3rd. I think that I read, and this might have been last night, that if they were to open, they would be down the equivalent of 1,500 points on the Dow. All right. Let's start off. Let's get going now. I'm ready and excited for this session. Feel well rested over the weekend. A lot is going on to talk about. Let's start here with crude oil is down to 52.50, and as everyone knows, we're looking for the first test somewhere around even as low as 50 right now. So that continues to develop. Bitcoin is looking good. We were looking if Bitcoin got above this resistance over here, which not only did it get above, you can see that spike down and then test of that broken resistance, now support. So we're looking for a retest up here, now back at between the area of 91 and 94. DXY holding above this latest broken resistance, holding a support. Euro has been relatively strong overnight. Compared to everything else. There was elections in Italy. I know that there was an attack on the embassy in Baghdad last night. I wasn't sure if that put a little bit of bit in it. I'm sure it's more related to the elections in Italy. But this is just maintaining, consolidating right now. Okay. Let's see if we get any type of edge of where it's going later this morning. Gold spiked up, gapped up, and is holding its gap. Obviously, this has to do with the safe haven bid that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing obviously a huge or a nice bid in the Japanese yen. We're seeing the crude oil sell off. We're seeing gold holding a bid, and silver is also leading gold today, right above this trend line over here. Vicky, I don't think that Bitcoin is. That's a tough question. I think it's a little fluid. I don't think Bitcoin is a safe haven bid. I think it's a hedge, though, against the current financial system and the situation it's in. So it's a safe haven in that aspect. But when you talk about like geopolitical events, or let's talk about the coronavirus, I don't think that Bitcoin's being bid up on that. I think Bitcoin is moving more so in regards to its 4-year cycle, and it's acting exactly as it does around this point in the cycle when we're about 4 months into the halving. So I just want to pull that chart up for reference. All right, I think Bitcoin, which is right over here, I think it's acting more towards as it does in the cycle, and as it generally does as we get right where we are, it starts a slow drift upwards into the halving. All right. So I think that's what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin's just being Bitcoin, in my opinion. I think Japanese yen is definitely acting as the safe haven flow. US dollar is so strong, and I'm not sure. Well, of course, that's part of the safe haven bid, but I think this also has to do with structurally what's going on in the euro dollar system. Euro dollar is breaking out, and the dollar is just, it's bid on that. That's my opinion. It's the way I read it. We have, let's look, the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm going to be watching today because we've broken through this trend line resistance here, and now we're at this horizontal resistance. So I want to see how price reacts off this area. If, I know that the dollar is definitely bid over here, but it's having a little bit of trouble over here. You never know what's going to happen. I'm going to be ready, and I'm going to watch price around important levels. This is an important level on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. And if price starts resuming down outwards, well, that could be a reason to take a trade. Otherwise, I'm not really so much concerned about this resistance up here, but in this area over here, if we do get up there, obviously that's going to be an important area to watch. Euro US dollar is a little bit undecided today, and it just has me on the sidelines. I'm not exactly sure what to expect over here. Obviously, if we come down into this support over here, that gives a little bit of an opportunity for anyone who is short to take profits or to begin leaning long for a reverse trade. Again, I don't have a good read on it. I see over here this little bit area of very light support that price is currently holding up on. To me, it looks like the dollar is just consolidating here above the last support. It has to break down below here. It has to break and lose the support for any sign of a little bit of a dollar sell-off. So I don't see that happening right now. Seeing obviously very big risk off across the board. This is really being shown in New Zealand dollar, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and here you see, if I extend this, coming back down, and we are testing the bottom of this trend line. If we lose this trend line down here and this support down here, well, then I think we have much further to go. It looks like we're headed in that direction. It's just a question now of when. It looks like it's a question of when this breaks, right? We could test over here. We could even trade up a little bit, come back, take another look at this broken support and see if it holds as resistance now, or we can just consolidate over here. Looks like we're leaning towards the downside over there. I did jump into on the close of Friday. I jumped into a short on the pound Japanese yen, which gapped below this trend line support over here. This is a pretty big pattern that is broken down over here. I'm expecting, or I'm playing for here. And it looks like I might be holding on to some nice profit going into the central bank meeting this Thursday. But I believe that they're going to lower rates. I believe the market has them at about 50-50. It's the Mark Carney's last central bank meeting. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut, handing it off to the next central bank chairman a little. It's easier for the leaving central bank, as we saw with Mario Draghi. He not only he instituted the QE before Christine Lagarde took over, so a cut over here, that's what I believe is in the cards. I also, on the open yesterday, took a short on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm holding both those positions. I'm going to continue to hold them and see what develops. To me, it looks like that we are obviously, I don't think the sentiment in the market's going to change. I think that things are obviously going to get, I think, a lot worse. I've followed up all weekend on the situation out of China as it's developing. It's getting worse and worse. Yesterday, the amount of cases that spread worldwide seemed to me to maintain. There was one new one in Canada in the last 12 hours. But that seems to be stabilizing, which is a very good sign, and I'm very grateful for that. The situation inside China seems to be escalating worse and worse. I think this is definitely, at the very least, going to be affecting the global economy because of a slowdown in China with how connected things are. And at worst, God forbid, that the virus continues to spread worldwide. I'm holding my Japanese yen shorts for the immediate until further things develop. Yeah, I was very, thank you. I was going to include this in the weekly Forex forecast, the head and shoulders on it. I didn't. I just focused in on this important support levels over here, which we opened up and crushed through. That's continuing to escalate. Euro Japanese yen, I've actually looked at it. So it opened up lower. I can see a gap lower, came in, tested that, and is now selling off. Yeah, I mean, this definitely has the risk tone over here of the risk off, Japanese yen safe haven. We have not come down and tested this important support down at 119.58, which I definitely think we will. I'm not sure what happens here with the euro US dollar. It looks like there's currently a little bit, there's not a bid under it, right? Price is not even rising, but compared to the rest of the market, it's hanging out pretty well and holding up pretty well. And but I don't have an idea of what happens next, whether we come down and to this support or up to this resistance. And we're definitely right between them both. And I don't have an edge, so I'm not really sure. If you're short the euro Japanese yen, well, looks like a good place to be short, right? You have this resistance right above you. Turn these over. Step back also, right? And you also have this channel, and we've broken out pretty hard. We're right now a little bit below this support over here. Right, we've come off hard and heavy, but you know, we still have, it looks good. If you're holding this, I can't imagine this turning around hot and hard anytime soon. And listen, the way that I see it right now is that this current tone in the market, I don't really see any catalyst to turn it around anytime soon. That's at the forefront of my mind. Futures continue to drop, right? We said when the markets come off, they come off hot and hard. Well, it looks like this could be, you know, futures opening down this far, right? Oftentimes they do actually then trade up. I don't see that happening today. I think we're going to have some pretty big gaps in the market, and I think they're going to continue. I think they're going to continue downwards today. We'll see. Great to see you all. Yeah. Good morning. Great to see you all. Pound Japanese yen. So, I mean, the first thing that I definitely want to point out is the momentum is with the Japanese yen pairs. And yeah, they've come off pretty hot and hard, but again, I don't see that reversing. I personally believe any rallies is an opportunity to sell the rallies right now, right? We have to see really, we have to see the tone in the market change. We have to see some good news. Good news is not happening yet. Things are escalating. Things are really escalating. You know, just let me throw it out there. You know, I read something this morning that, you know, obviously the market and everyone's full of opinions, but people are talking about in April or May that this spreading to big cities worldwide. All right, if that's the situation, now's the time to start planning. Listen, we want to be aware of what's going on. We want to prepare for the worst, right? And do everything we can to protect our families, and we'll take it as it comes. But just to pretend that this is going to blow over and it's not a big deal and more people die from the flu and things like that. Listen, I'm not an ostrich. I don't have my head in the sand. I'm looking around me, and I want to be aware of what's going on so that I could always act and plan accordingly. All right. Rustin, the missile attacked the U.S. embassy. What are they? I mean, there really has not been any type of response from the U.S. that I've heard about that whatsoever, right? So the difficult piece about what's going on here in oil is that you could have an escalation in the Middle East, and if you have an attack on Iran, this thing could shoot up so quickly, so hard, and so fast, right? So therefore, it seems to me the safer play is the Japanese yen. Just one other important piece of news is that the Fed, through the Wall Street Journal, the central bank floated the idea that they are going to, during the downturn, they're going to cap treasuries so that, for example, bonds will only be able to raise so far. That's really interesting. The last time they did that was World War II. It looks to me, the reason I'm saying that, it looks to me that we are going to have massive inflation on the horizon. Not that we don't already. Look at the cost of healthcare, look at the cost of education, look at the cost of food, right? But gold, it has to be a core part of your portfolio. I just want to hit on that. I'm not saying to trade gold. I'm saying to own gold. A portion of your wealth needs to be in gold. What that portion should be, obviously, is dependent on every individual. But if you haven't yet done that, you need to start looking at, or even if it's buying, a small amount of silver coins each month. It's getting late in the game here, and eventually it's going to be the prices are eventually going to rise where it'll be too late for people to start getting in. It's not even close to that right now. You have the time, but you have to start taking action. All right. I want to continue dropping through here. We have a lot left to even begin to look at. And then I'm going to, so far, the Australian dollar, the US dollar, Canadian dollar is the only thing that I'm even watching, but I want to keep watching the Japanese yen pairs and watch how they go and continue to build positions into them, or trade in and out when appropriate. US dollar, Swiss franc, we're bouncing here between the resistance and the support. Of course, Swiss franc has it'll be interesting to watch as price comes down into the support, what happens down over here. Right now, I don't see an edge whatsoever. British pound, Canadian dollar coming back up towards this resistance over here. All right. A little bit of sideways action. This is not where the play is right now. It's interesting though, if we get above this, if the pound does get above this resistance over here, there's a lot of room to the upside in that case. Not yet. Keep watching. Pound Japanese yen, as long as she stays below this trend line here, which is now should be resistance, it already acted as resistance once over here on one touch. I would like to see it start making lower lows. If it starts making lower lows, that's a nice place to add to a position. I'm looking at the first area of I will call it importance, down more towards this support down here. Call it 141, and that's that for that. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, definitely, along with the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, leading the way in the risk off. We're coming down to some important levels down here. I don't think we're going to hold, but it doesn't mean we're going to blow through them right away. Let's see what happens on the U.S. equity market open over here. Let's see if we get immediate follow through. The futures continue to be trading towards their lows, or if people come in and buy. I can't imagine buying equities right now. With what's going on right now in the tone in the market. I think 73.39 is a very important level. If that gives way, we're going to really have some momentum. As far as adding 20 positions, not yet. You have to wait. This is the true trend all the way. Watch the true trend, wait for the entry CCI to come back oversold, and then you could enter in when price makes a lower low. This could continue extending for a while, though. I would not be surprised even if we came down, tested the support right below us before that happens with the entry CCI coming back oversold. We got a lot of momentum to the downside here. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. It's a very similar situation. The gap is a lot bigger here, though. I see on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, and we gapped below this support. All right. I don't think this gap is closing anytime soon. For anyone who's a gap trader, don't be a hero. This is not this is not the time to be looking to fill gaps. What's down below us over here? We got an area of congestion to work through over here right now. I should have a level horizontal line over here. All right, that's support. I would say that's the next level in play right now in the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Euro New Zealand dollar. This could be very good above this resistance over here, and with the weak commodity currencies that we're seeing right now in this environment, there's a good chance that happens. Not much else to say over there. This also continues to look like a possible bottoming pattern. All right, we'll look at both. We'll look at the pound Canadian dollar and then the euro US dollar. So pound Canadian dollar is definitely still working below this resistance. I see a little bit of higher lows over there, but at the same time, we're also making lower highs. We're also making higher lows. So we're coming to an inflection point for the next move. You got to wait. You know, the only trade that you could possibly take would be price being rejected here by this resistance to the downside. Otherwise, wait for it to get above here on the upside. You have the central bank meeting later in the week, so the pound is going to be tightly, it's going to be very reactive to whether or not there's a cut or a hold, plain and simple. All right. You might want to wait for the central bank to get out of the way before deciding, unless you see, again, off this resistance to the downside is a viable trade. If price trades up a little bit higher and then starts making lower lows. The euro US dollar is very, I'm very unsure of what is happening here. All I see is that right now we're below this resistance and above this support, kind of in the middle, hanging out right here where my mouse is on this light support. Okay. So I don't really see an edge one way or the other. I don't know what happens first, a test of this support or a test of this resistance. The dollar is also, it's completely mixed. It's undecided on the day, unmoved, but it is definitely consolidating above the last breakout, and that's holding us support. So that is, neutral to me. I have no even bias of where I think the next move on the euro is in this moment. Euro, British pound. Euro, British pound definitely is undecided. I mean, I don't see an edge either way. It's just consolidating here above the support right now. So playing ahead, if there's no rate cut, do we break down further over here? Probably. And vice versa. If there is a rate cut, at the very least, we're going to be up here testing this resistance, and probably more likely even up to here. So it's sideways to me. I don't see the advantage. You definitely have across the board yen pairs moving. That's where the momentum is. That's where I would like to see you guys, trading with the strength and trading with the momentum. It just makes things so much easier. US dollar, Japanese yen also holding the support so far, right? There's definitely a war going down over here. It's hard to say, so when we talk about strength versus weakness, right now the weakness is obviously on the commodity currencies, Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, not so much as the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar. This is at a pretty strong support level. If we break through here, we're going down much lower. There's a lot of momentum in the yen pairs. And again, I don't think that's dissipating anytime soon. I think you want to go where the strength is right now and really be focused over there. If you've missed getting an entry into the yen pairs, then stalk them and wait for them to come, use the true trend. Whatever time frame you're trading, look for the entry CCI to become oversold against the trend and use that as a way to get back in towards the trade. But that's where the momentum is right now. The other pairs seem to be a little bit more stalled right now, not offering too much of an edge. I'm watching this at important areas over here. I see the US dollar, Japanese yen also at a very important support, but I don't see an edge on it. I'm trying to pull it up. you're at a support. It looks to, I mean, it looks to me like, it's going to have a hard time holding over here. But I'm not sure. I want to trade where there's a little bit more clarity, when there's more edge, right? Look at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen coming down, attacking or testing these new lows over here. Not that I would trade off the 30-minute. I use patience right now. Use patience. Wait for a price to become a little bit oversold, overbought against the trend, and then look for price to resume backwards. That's a good entry to get into, and it's going to be a lot easier. Pound US dollar. I don't know if we looked at it yet, Martine. I mean, my gut tells me we're going to be definitely testing into this area of support over here on the pound US dollar before the central bank meets. How big is this area we're in right now of support? I mean, the support is currently holding, but even still with the current environment, that the dollar is just consolidating right here above the support. Unless this support fails over here, I think the dollar looks like it's going to hold and continue to push upwards, right? I think the pound US dollar, it looks to me like it's got further room to fall. It is at support right now, but if you're going to take a long off the pound US dollar, you might want to wait until you have a better look at a heavier support, which is down over here for me. Now, adversely, as far as breaking down out of here, I don't know that we'll break down out of here before the central bank meets. It's you got a big unknown this week here on the pound, and just keep that into consideration if you're looking to get into any pound pairs. Now, what I did here by getting involved in a pound pair, I did this on Friday, and the reason being was because of the really environment. I knew that we were going into the weekend where things were escalating, so I expected, as I spoke about, that I expected Japanese yen pairs to gap down. This gives me just a head start going into the meeting. Now, if I'm able to hold it into the meeting, and they don't cut, I could get out of the trade. If they cut, I could just continue holding, and we should see further depreciation. But getting into a trade right now on the pound US dollar, I'm not so sure about. I think that there's more clarity elsewhere and just higher probability trades. That's stabilized. I haven't even looked at the calendar. Let's get on that right away. So we got consumer confidence. Not yet, in about an hour and a half. So the consumer, I expect consumer confidence is going to be high. I think people have the stock market's been trading up near all-time highs. We'll see. I expect this to be pretty high. This usually is a lagging indicator. When things start getting bad, this comes off. Maybe the next reading we get, because of what's going on right now globally, this could come off. But this print should be fine, I expect. I think we're more focused here this week on the FOMC, right? I don't know how much this PMI print out of China is going to affect the market right now, because obviously people are looking for a slowdown now in China. Obviously, for the pound, the central bank meeting on Thursday is a big deal. I think right now the market is going to be focused over here on the FOMC. We'll see what they add to the conversation. I don't know how much they're going to add right now. I think that if the markets hadn't been coming off so hard, they would have had to address that. This is kind of making their work a little bit easier for them. I don't know yet. It's too soon to see. Raj, I don't know who's been saying Bitcoin's been going down. If you've been following this channel for the last couple of months, that's not what we've been talking about or forecasting, even when you had the height of fear in the realtor traders right over here. Actually, I put out a video when we were at 75, and I said 6,500 will be the low. I expect that to be the low. It turned out to be the low. And right now, our last trade on Bitcoin was over here when price broke out above this support, came back and tested it. Entry over here. People took profits somewhere over here. Now I was waiting for price to get back above this resistance. This is a good area to be looking to buy Bitcoin. I think the next move is a test over in this area between 91 and 94. Just more importantly, listen, you're in this yellow area over here of the 4-year cycle. This is a reaccumulation. You should be looking to get into Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin over the next 18 months when you should be into this bull market mania and phase. Right now, trading Bitcoin in and out doesn't make too much sense. So Bitcoin looks very positive back above here. If we get below 8,000 and then then this support down here at 77 doesn't hold, then things do not look so great for Bitcoin, right? Probably very good buying opportunity, but technically right now things look fantastic for Bitcoin. I don't think we looked at the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen yet this morning. I see that we're at a nice, strong, not strong, a nice critical support here on the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen. If this breaks here, I think we're going down to 82. I think this is where the opportunity is for a lot of people across the board, is just focusing on the Japanese yen. Again, if you're not into a trade, be looking for price to come off a little bit and look for the opportunity to get to be able to get short. Yeah, we'll take a look at gold in a second. I mean, I don't know how much. No matter what any central banker kind of says right now, Blair, I think that it's going to come down to FOMC. I don't think that this is going to be a big event for the market. Also, obviously it can be, but we're going to watch and see. I don't think this is going to be I don't know. I don't think it is. I think the biggest thing right now, as far as the dollar is concerned and the Fed is concerned, is the fact that they're talking about capping bonds in the next downturn. And all of these things are definitely net bearish for the US dollar. But right now, you're seeing safe haven bid US dollar. And worse than that, I think you're seeing structurally the bid to the dollar. So, yeah, DJ, we look at that before we look at gold. Ooh, a battle is ensuing. All right, so a couple of thoughts. First thought is because of the safe haven bid on the Japanese yen, you obviously want to play that versus weaker currencies. What are the weakest currencies are obviously the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar. And think about how linked they are to the Chinese economy, right? Focus in on there. Focus in on strength versus weakness. And that is ideal right now. Swiss franc is also a safe haven bid. Japanese yen, safe haven bid. These two, they could be battling out over here in this area for a little while. That's what I am expecting right now. I think the next look is going to be down here towards the support over here. All right, get back above this resistance, and then you could look to get long the Swiss franc versus the Japanese yen. I think the next move is going to be down into this support over here. Gold is bid again. Gold gapped up and has held the gap and is continuing now trading back towards the highs. look, stay blessed. If you're holding gold since down over here, 1546, right? I believe that's correct. And if you're still holding gold and you made it all the way up here, now you're looking to see how price reacts, but lean towards continuing to hold, right? Because you're in a fantastic position. You could kind of make it very easy for yourself. You could see how we gapped up, traded down, and now trading up, making. Have we made a new high yet? Not yet on the 8 hour. Let me look at the 4 hour. Yeah, on the 4 hour you have. So you have two places you could even layer stops in. You trade back down below the low of this price bar. Well, then something's off, right? That's your first sign that something's off. So you could place a stop loss there. Down over here below, you could place another stop loss at 1569. But you want to give your the possibility of the trade continuing just to continue to pump and fall in your favor. There's no reason to be looking to get out over here. The first sign that you need to get out was if this did not hold, because right now we're making higher highs. This closed the gap, and now we're making higher highs. So if you start trading back down, okay, that's a sign that gold is not holding, right? But right now, this looks extremely bullish, and again, that's a pretty clean and good look at it. You're in a good trade. Got to give it room to continue to go. You have the sentiment with you, right? Gold is bid on the risk off tone, and we're also seeing the indices coming off big today. When's the market open? The market's just opened. Interesting to see right now then if they start making lower lows or not this session. So that's it. I wouldn't sell gold here. You'd have to get below the same area we looked at on the high time frame for us to have a bearish bias on gold on the short term. And most likely that would just be down into this area over here. So that's only $6. So trade with the trend, not against it, right? New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. It looks to me, obviously, this downside momentum is going to continue. You don't want to chase things down here. But again, this is where you want to use the true trend when you have the market momentum as you do on the Japanese yen pairs. All right. If you're not into a trade, wait for the entry CCI to become oversold in the strong trend. And then as price resumes, you can get back into the trade. Well, what's going on, Huncho, Mark? I just went back and was reading some of the messages, see if I missed anything, any pairs. If anyone is interested in looking at something that I haven't yet covered, or even if we have covered it, let me know. Here's the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Obviously, you could see we're in this light area over here. Listen, this is the area, if you're holding it short, you want to be looking at next to see how price reacts. And if you have ever any opportunity, as long as this resistance holds over here on any retest to get back and get short, that looks like a good trade as well. There's a lot of opportunity. It's a question of picking your spots. And so the one thing that I really would like to offer is this is a moment to really be focused on where the strength is, Japanese yen, and against the weakness. All right. Focusing on where your greatest edge is. Nice, Mark. Oh, Mark, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that's there you go. Focusing on the weakness, Australian dollar's weakness. All right, this is also an area, where there is a lot of momentum until you see a reason for change. Don't give up on your trade too soon. Let the profits go. See what it gives you. As far as the selling gold over here, listen, even if that works out, I don't think that's a good idea. And why don't I think it's a good idea? Because if you're looking to sell gold over here, you're looking to basically buy bottoms and sell tops, and that's a losing strategy over the long run. You could get right every once in a while, but it's not. It's very low probability. Let's take a look at ZAR JPY. Well, it's holding up pretty well compared to a lot of other pairs that the Japanese yen is basically having its way with and attacking. Um, you could see this pretty good, strong area of support. Price is still holding it. I don't know what the swamp is on this. I don't know about the South African rand, if it's paying a nice swamp against the Japanese yen over here. But comparatively speaking, it's holding up well compared to other pairs. I've been watching the not only the cases reported in China, but the deaths. Obviously, the cases reported are low anyway. Why are they low? Because a lot of the people that are dying, their death certificate is saying that they've died of pneumonia, uh, and obviously this is not the case. But even with the official statistics that are being given, the rate of increase is very alarming, right? Again, the only good thing is that in the last 12 hours, there's only been one new case that I know of reported abroad that was in Canada. And that was the wife or the husband of some of his wife. Uh, so that's positive that it's not spreading abroad, but I can't imagine this risk off turn taking a sharp turn really quick. I would expect one of the next things that happen is that the CDC, upgrades this to an emergency, and hopefully the WHO does, the World Health Organization. I know the president right now is in China. Obviously, China's doing what they can to prevent that from happening. But either the CDC or the WHO upgrading it could definitely escalate the risk off tone in the markets, and that could very well be happening at some point this week. Right now, I'm looking to sell any Japanese yen rallies. All right, so this is the first 10 minutes of the day. I'm going to drop down here to 5-minute chart just so we can watch over here. This is the first area. This is resistance right over here at 32.55, and then again over at 32.61. So there's a lot of work overhead to do before we see any signs of equities actually reversing and putting up some gains. Right now, for all intents and purposes, they're trading near the lows. So I think there's a pretty good look around. Anyone that has a different insight right now, different game plan, definitely let us know. I have mine. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, we haven't looked at. This is coming off pretty hard also. Again, this is strength versus weakness. This is at a pretty important level here. Let me even take a look at the weekly here. Look at this. Wow. This doesn't look too good here for the Australian dollar Swiss franc. It looks like we're going to be seeing lower lows, and I wonder if we test the bottom of this spike. I have to be honest, I don't know how much this is going to affect the Australian dollar. If we get any positive upticks because of this news, I would look at that as an opportunity actually to sell the Australian dollar, Japanese yen once that move retraces. I think that any up move would retrace. We've talked about when the equity markets come off, they come off hard and hard. I can't see any reason right now, actually, for anyone to be stepping in to buy equities. Uh, looking forward ahead, this is it has to be, affect earnings. I can't see any reason at these levels for people to come in, step in and do something. I think that at this point, this would be more along the lines of the equity markets would need to force the central bank's hands to step in and do something. And where that stimulus comes from first, the onus might be on China to have to do something, but that's not in the immediate future, right? Markets would have to really be pushing their hand. They would have to sell off hard for that to happen. Tesla holding up pretty well in this carnage, right? Coming close here now to this break of this trend line over here. And if it starts making lower lows, well, then that's when this is going to be interesting to watch. And I expect it comes down hot and hard. Meanwhile, let's take a look. It looks like it's broken down out of this channel to me. It's a poor looking channel. Let me step back here. So euro is weak and Swiss franc is obviously strong. It looks to me that there's more downside over here, and adversely, like Also look here at the euro US dollar. We got a little bit ways till we come back down into the support over here. Whether or not it holds or goes down, we'll have to see as we get to that support. But there's the support is down a little further on the euro US dollar, and you could see the same thing also on the euro Swiss franc. So it looks to me that we have broken out here to the bottom side of this channel. So in other words, if you were holding this short, I would continue to hold it short. And I wouldn't be buying down here just yet. I would wait closer to that support down there. Foreign exchange is the best market. I agree. Rustin, I was really happy about that when I saw it this morning, and I'll definitely after the live stream today help get you going. And although I would although I would like to talk about it, it was included in the weekly Forex forecast. Like I made it a point where I don't want to get in during our live streams. I want to keep it exactly the same as it's always been. There will be videos outside of our live stream where I will help people really be aware and understand the program and continue to update them as it grows and develops. But during our live streams, I'm going to do my best to to keep us focused exactly as it's always been and always will be. And but there will be videos released on the channel outside of those times for sure. +1, Rustin, +1. So I want to drop down here to Australian dollar, Japanese yen. See here, price is consolidating around this support line over here. Makes a ton of sense. The 8-hour, a little spiky over there. I don't think we're reversing. If we do reverse, I like this area over here to look to lean into. See how price reacts in this area over here. And if it reverses down again, I like here now going back and relying on the true trend and looking at the entry CCI for an edge over here. It'll be interesting to see the news feed later this evening. It's usually later in the evening when China upgrades their situation. So I'm also again, all it will take will be one other case to be diagnosed abroad or in the US for things to escalate. I am very hopeful in the fact that no further cases have been reported in the last 12 hours. That's a good sign. So anyone have any insight that they would like to add? Please do. There's also a tragedy, obviously, if anyone's heard, everyone's heard, I believe, what happened to Kobe Bryant. Yeah, Forex, where are you focused in looking for a buy on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen? Listen, if it is that pair, listen, my opinion is definitely dead against that. There's no reason to be looking to be a hero. That's where the hard money's made. Is it possible you get lucky? Anything's possible in the markets. Like you could get out, like so. China could come out and say, "Hey, the situation's over. The virus is contained. It's no longer spreading." Yeah, guys, yesterday they quarantined Beijing, right? Obviously that looks like a protective measure, but can you imagine that the fact that they had to quarantine Beijing? Don't look to buy bottoms and sell tops. Look for the high probability trades. Look, we have a clear look at the market. We have clear levels. Use to trade off of them, not against them. The easiest thing to learn is in a bull market, buy off supports. In a bear market, sell off resistance. Right now, Japanese yen has a lot of downside momentum. There's a lot of Japanese yen strength. You should be looking to sell off of resistance on any Japanese yen pair. The big player, the word, yeah, his daughter 13, Gianna Maria, and they just had a newborn. Stabilized. Anything is possible. Anything is possible at any time in the markets, and often you will see the impossible happen. Hanera, what's going on? Good morning. So this is one of the most really important things to focus in on is I read that when they talk about, I don't know what the actual rate of profitable traders in the markets are. You've heard all type of things. I probably think it's for traders, for short time minded traders. I personally think it's probably somewhere around 4%, right? And that does not mean that out of 100 traders, 4 of them will be profitable. It doesn't mean that either, because you could have. I also read that only 10% of traders have a plan and a strategy that they trade, and I think this is the key. This is the key right then and there. If you don't have a strategy that you're following, basically what you have is a lot of hope. What's the hope? The hope is that like you have the future potential to make money in the market, but you don't have to really hold yourself accountable. So that where if you're not making money, more or less the exact reason why. If you trade without a plan, it's as if like, well, I believe I'm a good trader and I believe I can make money in the markets, and one day it's going to happen. But if you don't have a plan, I believe your odds of being successful are under 0.5%. So if you only have 10% of the people who have a plan that they follow in the market, right? Those other 90% have almost no chance. But out of those 10% that have a plan, I believe the percentage of profitable traders goes up from 4% a lot higher. I don't know where to put it, but I would imagine it's a lot higher. And then those that are following actually a real edge in the market, that goes up even higher, right? So the first thing you got to do is trade with a plan. The first thing you have to do is trade and follow a strategy. I always talk about the markets is about layering in higher probabilities. So that's the strongest thing you can do to increase your profit potential and your profitability. Start trading with a real plan. And in that plan, you have to include that there's no buying bottoms and selling tops. That's a recipe for disaster. And so that's that little rant. Yep. Chris. Yep. Chris. Plus. That, I mean, there are some really talented traders, some really, really good and talented traders. The good traders tend to focus on the smaller time frames, right? If they move up, they're gonna have so much more success, and then they really need to work on having that plan and sticking to it, right? Because there's a lot of people with some real natural talent, good traders. Last time we looked at the DXY, it was, there you go. It is putting up gains. It was mixed. Price was consolidating above this last support over here. Now it's breaking out to new highs. And well, I guess that's not what I want to look at. Where's the next stop? I think it's 98.50. 98.40 to 98.50. 98.30. It's got a lot of upside potential here. Dollar is hot and strong. Looks like the euro is now making lower lows, and the next area to look for is what happens towards this support line over here. Raj, hey, really like to hear that. Really amazing market. I'm glad that we're on your radar, that you've been following what's going on over here. And listen, thanks for introducing yourself. If you have any questions, love to be able to discuss anything. And going back here to the DXY, I just want to, you're talking about the Euro US dollar. So right now, also focusing in on the DXY, listen, this is a really, really good level to lean off of now. This broken resistance has came back and been support. So the bias is 100% to the upside. We're even making new highs right now, but we have to this has to fail. This has to fail if you start looking for any like reprieve in this dollar strength. Before that happens, and until we lean into the higher levels up here, there's no sense in getting in front of this train. All right, Euro US dollar, right? just because it's a strong level doesn't mean it's going to hold either. Those of that you have followed the weekly Forex forecast have known that the base case was this is a bull flag. We break out to the upside. I didn't know it was going to be here. I didn't know when, but I've been talking about it since price is down here. Base case was to break out to the upside, and we could possibly test 99.50. Right? Is that going to be a one-way move? Probably not. Right? You can see over here, this is a big area also. This is a big area to have to get through. You know, we have to just watch the levels as they happen. And right now in the DXY, just so you all know what I'm focused in on, as long as this support holds, bullish bias. If this fails, especially after making a new high, if it comes back down here, all right, then you could look at a little bit of a reprieve. Maybe that means here we're going to be testing this area here on the Euro US dollar next. Fluid situation, obviously. Look for the Australian dollar. Make another leg down this morning. Anita, is that well, it's too soon to tell. My concern here on oil is the situation in the Middle East. They, obviously there was the attack on the U.S. embassy. It's a little weird that as far as I know, President Trump has not responded to that. There was an attack on the embassy, and he's not yet responded. So it seems a little out of character. If there was a retaliation attack, sometime very soon, I would not be surprised, and oil could definitely shoot up on that. So oil is a little bit of the volatility between what's happening in China and globally with the coronavirus, and then what's happening in the Middle East makes oil very volatile and difficult to play. The way I see it today. Right, that's good stuff. And so you guys have briefly heard me give my insight into that. I believe as a swing trader, you should always have that mentality and of being able to turn a swing trade into a position trade, because that could really be the difference. In year-end results, that could have a significant impact if you ever got the opportunity, and there's plenty of opportunities throughout the year to do that. Especially in foreign exchange, when trends do take place. And I know that the last couple of years, we've seen really range bound markets. But when trends take hold, they take hold, right? Which I'm looking right now to trade around my yen positions. I'm not looking for targets on them. I'm looking to hold them as long as possible and then take trades around those positions. There we go. Australian dollar, Japanese yen now looking to test the bottom range of this consolidation around the support. If it breaks down, it's going to continue going. Equities also have tested successfully and are bouncing off. Again, who's going to step in front of this momentum right now, and for what reason? The only thing that is concerning to me is the crude is difficult to play, and you have the wild card here with the Middle East. So anyone is focused in on anything they want to look at, please let me know. It's an open discussion. There was a really good interview I saw over the weekend. It's a little bit maybe dense for some people, but this is if anyone is following him or familiar with Luke Gromen, excellent insight. And he actually talked about the Fed during the upcoming, as things continue to develop, would look at be capping bonds. And then, later that evening, the Wall Street Journal came out with the article from the central bank talking about how that's exactly what they're going to be looking to do in the next downturn. And there's that link right now. Yeah, let's definitely look at the euro, Australian dollar. And so you're looking at, obviously, the Australian dollar is very weak coming into this resistance over here. Is that going to hold? I think we're going to see much more weakness on the Australian dollar. Again, the only wild card you have to look out for here is you have some high impact CPI news event coming out later tomorrow. And, I don't know how the market's going to react to that. If you see any actually spike appreciation, I think that's an opportunity only to look for a retrace and sell against. If you get above, you can play it technically, just follow the charts and trade the charts alone. You get above this resistance over here, look for a retest. And then if price resumes upwards, if you get your entry, I think that although we have a relatively weak euro, the Australian dollar is so tightly tied to two things. It's tied to the Chinese economy, which is going to see a big slowdown no matter what right now. And it's also tied to, really the risk off tone. So this is not, I'm not looking, I would not be looking here to actually look for this resistance to hold and to sell into this resistance. Not at all. Anita, were you talking about oil? Here comes the Australian dollar. Yeah, let's look at the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. Also, I have no idea over here what's happening. Let's see. All right. So Australian dollar is weaker. Again, I believe this is tightly tied, Australian dollar to the Chinese economy. It looks like that we have a really good chance of breaking down to new lows over here and for that continuing to escalate. I would definitely be biased towards the New Zealand dollar over here. If we break below, it's hard to even say, right? Look, we could be testing down towards these two lows and relatively soon. The only wild card is, again, I don't know how and what the market's going to react to this. So you're still talking, this is about a day and a half away. But you have the CPI, high impact news event coming out of Australia. And I don't know how the market's going to react to that. On crude oil, so this, hold on. So where my mouse is right over here, you could see that's a little bit of support. I think that there's also a little bit of support. Listen, all right. Outside of there being any type of retaliation for the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, which I think will shoot oil up higher, and I then also think that will be an opportunity, just like if there's a spike on the Australian dollar, I think that will be an opportunity to get short oil. I think we're going lower. I think we're going to be testing 50 on oil. And whether or not that holds, I'm not so sure. Is this pretty strong support down here? I have it at 50. I think the global economy here, which was already in a precarious place, China is such an important part of this. It is, the markets are closed in China. People are quarantined. People are staying inside. This is going to affect the growth. It's going to affect the global economy. It's not a non-event. It's a big event, and it has the potential to continue growing and getting bigger. So, listen, I think there's a good chance we come down here and test this support down here. I think this is an important area. I'll put it at 51 for now. I don't think it's going to hold long term. So again, the only thing that I'm worried about is do I think that this touched a big support already today? No. down at 52 right there, Anita, if that's helpful. I think that's a support. I don't think we're bouncing off of there for any, because it's such a strong support. Again, if the escalation in the Middle East happens, we could see oil react appropriately and strongly, but long term, things do not bode well right now. For the global economy. I think could the Fed come out with a bearish tone? Listen, for sure, probably in the press conference. Look at that, nice call. For sure, he's got to come out and address the situation in China and how that could affect the global economy. I think this was also the strong dollar is that's going to spell trouble for the U.S. economy and the global economy. He's got there's a lot of moving pieces. Listen, he had a big problem last week with the markets trading at all-time highs, and he was going to have to address that. So by the time the Fed meets on Wednesday, it looks like the markets are going to continue to come off. I wouldn't be surprised if they at least came off another 1.5 points. And that makes his job a little bit easier on that end. Now he's got to talk about what the possible repercussions could be with the slowdown in China. And I don't know. Obviously the Fed is going to have to do what it needs to do to prevent the continued appreciation of the US dollar, but it's not at those levels yet. It's back up at these levels when he's going to be vocal about it, right? So they're not going to be, I don't know. I wouldn't be placing my eggs in the basket that he's going to, have a tone that's going to affect the US dollar. So Vicky, that's really strong resistance again on the euro Australian dollar, but it looks like we're going to break through it. All right. And it looks like I would not be looking to fade this resistance over here. Again, this is not a normal market condition where things are kind of like, we have a lot of momentum here. I want people to recognize the momentum and try to trade with the momentum. It looks like this resistance is going to break. And then it comes down to if this tests, and if it's a successful test, is it possible to get long the euro versus the Australian dollar now? Australian dollar, also Japanese yen did make that next leg down. You can see it's at its lows right now. We got this area, probably another 20 pips or 20 to 40 pips to look at to see if this area is able to hold over here. Again, I would like to add to positions, but that won't be for me, and it'll be on the 8-hour time frame when the entry CCI becomes overbought, allowing me to get in safely. We're seeing the US indices not yet testing the lows of the day, but headed in that direction. Japanese yen strength definitely towards the lows of the days. Hanero, yeah. So first of all, you were definitely right about the QE. So two things. Not only is the repo look like it's permanent, it looks like the next step is that they're going to actually go into quote unquote like official QE, which will mean buying long-term treasuries. They're kind of doing that now anyway. As soon as they buy this short-term debt and it matures, I think they're buying long-term. And I do think it's permanent. How that affects the US dollar, listen, if the system breaks structurally, that means US dollar appreciation. There's a big debate. The big debate on the US dollar is not that the long-term prospects of the US dollar are dim, and we're going to see some massive depreciation or devaluation on the dollar, but the big debate is on the timing of that. And generally speaking, not generally speaking, I think the truth of that debate is that the dollar will get stronger, a lot stronger before it gets weaker. Of course, that's an unknown, but long term, dollar is going to be weak. It's all about timing and what happens in the intermediate term. So long term gold, if you know the dollar is going to be weak, of course you want to own gold, right? And even with the strong dollar, the gold is trading at highs. That's telling right there, right? It's very telling, because the concern was if we saw a strong dollar, what would happen to gold? Well, as the dollar is breaking out here, gold hasn't come off. Wow. Now, I know a lot of traders who have been right about bonds, but I think they got it for the wrong reason. Yeah, nice bull flag. No one could have predicted. No one could have predicted the situation in China right now. Yeah, you were 100% right and ahead of the game. That's why I love this community. That's why I love being able to interact together. Everyone, I'm so sorry. I want to pause just for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I have a sick kid at home, and I want to give her a kiss. I'll be right back. All right. Appreciate that. Sorry about that. Julio, hey, what a great comment to read. Awesome to have you with us. Really, 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 really appreciate that. Great insight, Sanjay, on the US dollar, Japanese yen. And also, of course, you also have the bid on the Japanese yen. Dollar is strong as can be, but I think the yen is overall stronger. So I still don't, I mean, I personally like going where the momentum is. Listen, right now, guys, I'm holding the positions I took on the close of Friday and the opening on Monday. And what I'm looking to do is just waiting for where the momentum is, just to become a little bit overbought, and then I'll be looking to get back in and build up those trades. And I'm also looking for other opportunities, but I'm gonna wait for them to become clear. And right now, it's just a question of holding open trades. If the DXY gives up this level, I might be inclined over here as if the US dollar, Canadian dollar, if the US Canadian dollar makes lower lows than during New York over here, it is taking out this resistance. Well, support line right now, right? It is support now. But it will be where the resistance was under that line. I like it. So I'm watching that. With what, Hanero? What are you seeing? So the euro, though, euro Australian dollar, I do like up here. and for the not the normal reasons. Again, I think we're breaking out up here. I'm gonna keep watching this when we do break out and see if we get the possibility for it to get a retrace and a retest. I don't think again. I don't think this. I think this will be a non-event. But we'll watch it anyway. If anything, I think the dollar could just extend its current gains. Now, again, just on the dollar the index, just talking myself through it. We've retested successfully and are coming out of the last broken resistance, holding a support. So I'm watching as long as this level holds. It looks like we have a lot of further upside. This is the this area over here becomes the area to watch. If it's breached, then that would be a time for anyone to lock in some gains. Nice support level coming into over here. Not that I think these are going to hold. I think they're going to break. It's a question of when. And obviously, you guys always are looking for me for supports to hold. In this case, I don't think so. And that's not to say that I don't know what is going to happen in the near term, right? But on my time frame here, jump back here, looking for the entry CCI to become overbought, price to resume downwards. That's an entry for me with strong moment versus strength. US dollar versus weakness, Australian dollar. Same thing on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Same exact play. I think the only question that we're looking at the rest of the session is whether or not price just continues to consolidate or if we see more legs down. It's a big question if it holds or not. I think you have between the whole number over there and then between 1.00990. There you go. That's awesome, Rab. It's really, really, really important to come in prepared, doing that analysis together every day, to be trading with an edge, and to have that patience. Probably will have the next trigger. The next potential trigger could be here just in about 10, 12 minutes. Although again, I expect this to come in line or beat. It doesn't mean that we can't see the next leg down off of it. Mark, to me is awesome. And again, I'm holding a trade on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen from the open. I'm not looking to give up on my trade. I'm looking to add to it. Yeah, same with me. Same with me. I'm more in love with the markets and trading than ever before. And the truth is, the more you learn, I think the more humble you become, but the more intriguing it is. The markets are just unreal. And the thing about the markets is it's not like you could ever get it because there's always new elements and they're always unfolding. And the environment we're in right now currently with what's going on with the central banks, and we're going to see sovereign defaults, sometime not too far off. It's unreal what's unfolding, and at this current junction of time. DXY here is now on to making new highs. Yeah, obviously the next big level we're watching is going to be down around the 1.1. Nice, Heath. Very nice. Do you have it? What Heath? Being that you're in the tour of this trade very, very, very well. I think did you get short over here, Heath? On the over here around 1.1078. If so, what do you do? How are you managing it? What are you looking for? Are you watching to see how price reacts around this level? Possibly giving it room to break, or are you looking to take profits? Yeah, I mean, two safe haven currencies right there, the Japanese yen and the US dollar, Rustin. And so I'm not positive, but I thought it was 7 cases in Australia. There's something I want to share then with you guys. There she goes. New leg down. Equities near the lows of the day. Euro US dollar extending down into the lows. You just have consumer confidence in 1 minute. We'll find out now how much further we extend. Pound Japanese yen lagging. Australian dollar Japanese yen leading. New Zealand dollar Japanese yen also on its next leg down. Tug of war on the US dollar Japanese yen. And Euro Japanese yen also testing the lows of the day. I'm sorry. Guys, forgive me. Forgive me. This is tomorrow. No one caught me on that. This is tomorrow. I thought it was this morning. There's nothing yet left on the calendar, which means that the odds are of this next leg down continuing are much, much stronger. Reps 6% is pretty great for the year. I think that the goal, I think I think the first long-term goal you have, right? 3% a month. Because starting with a low account balance, right, over a 10-year period. All right. Now add in monthly deposits of just $500. And yeah, you have something substantial there, right? And just add another 5 years, and it's ridiculous. So you're off to a good start. You could really make some good improvements on that this year, you know? Well, it sure looks like everything is going to continue extending over the next hour. It sure looks the dollar has more room in it, right? Question is when does the bounce come? Wow, that's weird. Looks like a triangle developing too. Boom. Yeah, I agree. Me too. So hard to tell. I think I personally think the for those who are short here, the one like always looking for the other side of the trade where the risk comes in. For me, for sincerely, it's if I don't know why I have not heard anything about what happened with the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, and from the way Trump postured, recently about the attack on the embassy, that would not go unpunished. And if there is any type of escalation in the Middle East, again, that's when we see appreciation in the euro. So that's the one thing to watch out for. The one wild card. Zoran, I don't think that. I think we're taking out this resistance over here on the euro US dollar. I think it's a question of seeing where the daily closes. The daily closes above here, which looks like it's going to. I think that point, we want to look for this broken resistance to hold the support and look to get long the euro Australian dollar. Normally, I'm looking obviously to be selling resistance and buying support. In this case, going before we've since traded up a little bit. Before taking out this resistance, it was pretty clear because of the current momentum with the weak Australian dollar and how this situation looks like it's going to be continuing. I think here the play is going to be long euro versus the Australian dollar. So now for me, as this level is taken out, I first want to see a daily close above it. And then I want to see a retest and a resumption. That looks like a good place to get long. I wouldn't take a short here, even if we're rejected initially, because if we're rejected initially, I think we're trading up higher here. The embassy in Baghdad was hit by a missile that hit the dining hall. So I'm looking. So it's 17 hours ago. 2 USMB compound. The compound in Baghdad was hit by multiple rockets. From what I understand, only one caused damage. So no injuries were reported, and I don't know. So this is what I would call I would call this a pretty easy stretch to trade. Guys, don't get, just because you pick a couple of good trades, don't get cocky. Always remain humble, especially when you're trading well. In my past, my worst trades came after my best trades. Don't think for a second, just because you took some nice profit, that you have more to risk now. That is absolutely not the way to ever trade. Do not take bigger risks after a good trade. Nice grab. Nice. That looks like it's going lower. I think the Australian dollar is going to continue to go lower versus everything. I do not see that changing anytime soon. Again, I'm looking to hold and add to positions. Yes, equities look like they're trying to push down towards the lows of the day. Trend day looks to be in full effect. Just a really quick note on the DXY. As long as we hold the support, I expect and could think this trend is going to continue. We get below there, then you might want to look on taking profits on any US dollar pairs. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to call this a session today. It looks like we're in good shape. It looks like momentum is going to continue. And there's a lot to definitely want to get done today. I think that today is going to be a day. I'm going to be looking at setups on Telegram later in the afternoon. I'll post them on TradingView, send them out to you. Listen, but I just want to really ingrain, there are times when you have to look for momentum to continue. It seems to me that this is one of them. I don't think that we're going to have any type of de-escalation in this current situation anytime soon. Things look like they're getting worse, and that the virus is definitely, at the very least, continues to spread within China. And we're looking to see if the WHO is going to upgrade the situation, as their president is meeting right now in China. The death toll continues to escalate. The virus went from being, of those who had contacted the virus, dying at a rate of 3% up to now 5%. This is going to have an effect on China and therefore the world. You are seeing that yen strength, right? And Australian dollar weakness. Focus where the strength is. Of course, you see across the board, you see US dollar strength. You're also seeing gold and silver have a bid, right? What else are we seeing? I guess what I really just want to get people, I think for me, it's holding core position now and then adding and trading around that. But I I don't see any signs of anything reversing in the immediate future. We have the FOMC on Wednesday. That's a big day. And of course, the Bank of Canada on Thursday is big for pound traders. Chris, I support that comment and insight strongly. It's very mature, and that's the difference between someone who has a small account and is over time going to grow that into a big account, and to someone who's taking big risks, which inevitably in the market is going to go against you. So that's a good note to that strong sound advice. Reb, we're all here to help each other and build each other up. And Chris is really pointing out some sound advice there. All right. I think that, sometimes we have to learn for ourselves, and I understand that, and that's true. But if we're able to help support each other and prevent someone from having to learn the hard way, that's awesome as well. Yeah, Dominic, of course. So pound, first thing about the pound is that you have, you have the central bank meeting on Thursday. Now, the market's pricing in 50% chance cut. I think I put a little more weight towards the cut because it's the last central bank meeting of Mark Carney. Now, if you're looking to, right now you have dollar strength, right? Dollar strength across the board. Pound is uncertain because it's a 50-50 chance if they're going to cut or not. It looks to me like there's a good chance we're going to trade down into this support over here. At the very least, we could see how price reacts around there. If they cut, just breaking out of this, lose this trend line over here, things do not look good for the pound. At the very least, we're coming down, testing this support, and probably down here. Now, as far as taking longs, on any dollar pair, to make it easier on you, like, wait for this. This is the last broken resistance. It's held as support, and now we're trading above it. You got to at least give this up to the downside to have like the momentum even moderately change on the dollar. And if that happens, and then you want to talk about and look at getting long the pound, and that means you're above. Let me make this a lot clearer for people. Right, you got to get above this level right here, so you could just use. This is all milky. By milky, I mean not clear. Let's get it up there. All right. Why you're trading below this, it's very bearish to begin with. You get above here. What's the best thing that could happen? The best case scenario, if you're trading above 1.308, is that by Thursday, we test this resistance here. Now, mind you, we have a strong dollar right now, and also the odds of pound traders holding their trades going into the meeting when it's such an uncertain event is relatively low. So maybe at best, the base case scenario is that we trade somewhere within this range. I don't know that we break down before the meeting, but a lot of uncertainty there, and there's a lot more certainty on other pairs right now. All right, everyone. Have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow.